And
Okay, so I'm going to mute everybody. And here comes Ajna. Okay, muting everybody. Can I get you something to
all
drink?
right, for those of you who are new, we're going to start with a couple of introductory readings and then we'll have a teaching. After the teaching, we'll go into a meditation. And after the period of meditation, we will have the floor open for questions and comments. There is a wisdom in the Sangha. Sangha is a group of like-minded seekers. So what you're looking at on the screen is our dispersed community that gathers at this particular time. And there's a good purpose to this. So I'm going to get into that today. At that time, if you have any questions about meditation, you have any questions about the teachings, any questions about life in general, that's the time to do it. Our
Lots of
guidelines are simple. They are that you come here to listen first. When you speak, speak from the heart, not from your head. Speak from the present moment, not from the past. That gives an immediacy to speech, which is very different, and it kind of takes ego out, the conditioned mind out when we're speaking from that present moment awareness. So I have a reading from, I got a bunch of reading. We're trying some new things out, which is driving Linnell crazy. So I want to give a shout out to my head monk for doing a bunch of copying this morning and getting things ready.
That's okay. I'm helping my brain. I'm learning to embrace
And some of the
new
other
things at the last minute. So
who
I can do this.
keep us on the rail. Matthew is the one who sees that everything gets put up on our YouTube channel. So if you have ever taken advantage of that, that's Matthew's credit. Cherry is my tax person for the church.
Thank you, Cherry.
Who is doing that, and Ajna is our treasurer. And Bruce Allen, even though he doesn't know it, is the president. Dorothy is
Hey,
the
Bruce.
social secretary. And we don't have a recording secretary, so we'll get Yamuna to do that. So let's start with Hafiz, and I think he speaks to the situation we find ourselves in a lot. He says, sometimes I forget that I was created for joy. My mind's too busy. My heart's too heavy for me to remember that I've been called to dance, the sacred dance of life. I was created to smile, to love, to be lifted up and to lift others up. O sacred one, untangle my feet from all that ensnares. Free my soul that we might dance, and that our dancing might be contagious.
There's a bird on the window.
And in the midst of our darkness, in the midst of our personal despair, which often happens, we're going to go back to some things about the parasympathetic nervous system, and particularly the dorsal part, the part that breeds despair and darkness. And a lot of us are battling that darkness personally, and certainly as a nation. It's good to remember this. This is from Dana Falls, who is a soulmate of mine. Someone asked me, who would you like to spend an hour with? This woman is someone I'd love to just spend an hour with. She says, despite illness of body or mind, in spite of blinding despair or habitual belief, who you are is whole. Remember that, okay? No matter what your brain is telling you about who you are or how the world is, remember you're in a filter that's filtering out 97% of what's happening. And like we say, it's like a cloud in front of the sun. Doesn't mean the sun's gone. We have to remember it's there and it's coming back. Let nothing keep you separate from the truth. soul illuminated from within and longs to be known for what it is. What is it? India RE, I am light. Why is that so hard to remember? I am love. Then why do I feel so bad? Because it's all being filtered through this diseased brain. Undying, untouched by fire or the storms of life, there is a place inside where stillness and abiding peace reside. You can ride the breath to go there. Despite doubt or hopelessness, you're not broken. Spirit surrounds, embraces, fills you from the inside out. Release everything that isn't your true nature. And what's left? The fullness, light and shadow. Claim all that is your birthright. Claim all that is your birthright. So let's go back to the nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system. And Linnell's going to put up a chart. So first the color chart.
Okay.
Okay. So can I get one of those? There's another one over there, Yumina. Okay, so when we're down at the bottom of this chart, which is ventral vagal, part of the parasympathetic nervous system, you don't need anything. You're already where we were made to be. This is your natural self. This is the kingdom. This is Satori. This is an enlightened place to be. As Singer says in Untethered Soul, if you're able to move through life so that all the energy moves into you and through you and out and doesn't get stuck anywhere, that's what an enlightened person is doing. They're in the present moment, letting go of each moment to be present for the next moment. When it starts hitting the traumatized parts of our brain, remember your brain is a pattern recognition tool. Whenever it hits something that has been a harm in the past, it immediately, in half a second, puts you into fight or flight without it ever getting to your prefrontal cortex. You're not thinking this, you're not making a decision, you have no control over it, so get over yourself, stop feeling guilty about it, quit being embarrassed by it. You didn't design your brain, you can't control this function. This initial emotional response to life is always going to be there, okay? Now, once that starts a whole pattern of being at war with life, at war with ourselves, trying to control everything. Well, that's exhausting. And after a certain point, it becomes so exhausting that we go into dorsal ventral. Dorsal ventral is
Vagal. Dorsal vagal. Or freeze on your chart.
Response. And that is a natural defense mechanism. It's the oldest part of your nervous system, 500 million years old. And it's the thing that your dog does when it gets hurt. It doesn't go out and go, oh my God, and run around like a crazy person. It lays down, it withdraws. It doesn't want to engage. It doesn't want to eat. It just wants to be left alone to heal. So this is our healing response. And part of it is that we begin to dissociate from reality.
It's that red.
It's the red area
on your
up
chart.
on the top.
So we started in green, ventral, social, then we
move up into yellow,
got triggered.
Light. Now we're on full stop mode. And so listen to these things and think about it in those moments of darkness and despair. Do you feel trapped? Do you feel prepared for death? Do you feel hopelessness? Do you feel shut down? Do you feel shame about where you are? Do you feel dissociated? Do you feel numb? Do you feel depressed? Do you feel helpless? And in this place, it's a place of collapse, immobility. It's a place where you're conserving energy. Your body's saying, dumbass, if you're not smart enough to lay down, relax, and heal yourself, we're going to shut you down. And we're such a work culture that we push ourselves to this place a lot by not listening to the signals from our body. Now, what I want to point out is reading here, this is my guy that I love, who's on Instagram. And he's talking about the fact that meditation wasn't meant for people who are in fight or flight or who are dorsal. And his language is kind of strong, but he's dead on with this. So
here's the real reason meditation doesn't work for your trauma. And it's not because you're doing it wrong. When your nervous system is in dorsal vagal shutdown, sitting still feels like dying. And if you want techniques that actually work, tap the link in my profile. Meditation asks you to be present with your body. But if your body is where the trauma lives, presence feels like walking into a burning building. Your nervous system will do anything to avoid that level of interoception when it's in protective mode. Traditional mindfulness was designed for regulated nervous systems. It assumes you have a baseline of safety to return to. But if your baseline is threat, asking you to sit quietly and observe is asking you to marinate in activation without any way to discharge it. This is why people with complex trauma report that meditation makes them more anxious, not less. They're not failing at meditation. Meditation is failing them by ignoring the state of their autonomic nervous system. You need movement-based practices that discharge activation before you can access stillness. You need to befriend your nervous system before you can ask it to be quiet. The Neural Reset Protocol uses body-based exercises designed for dysregulated systems, 21 days that meet you where you are.
now he's into his ad.
And how often do we hear people say that? Oh, I can't meditate. I can't settle down. My mind is, and that's real.
I know.
They are stating, that they
So let's shift
struggle.
to the next
Yeah.
next screen, sugar. So Matthew, I'm going to use his as an example with his permission, would report this to me and report that he often found that he could do better meditating after he ran or after he was more vigorously active. Mm-hmm. And that's the first time I had encountered that reporting. And what I love about that, and I set that as an example for all of you, the Buddha said, work out your own path with diligence. It doesn't matter what the teachers are telling you, okay? You keep experimenting until you find what works. So, as Matthew also says, paradox is when two truths are true at the same time, two opposing statements are true at some time. Life says that shouldn't be. That's Aristotelian logic that says contradictory statements can't both be true, but they can, and they are. So meditation will calm you down if you can get to a baseline of safety. And there are things that you can, if you're trying to push your nervous system when it can't sit still and can't stand the intensity of the present moment, that's what we're working on in meditation. We're working on expanding that window of tolerance, okay? So that when we start to feel ourselves shutting down, we breathe, we expand, we open until we can't take it anymore, and then we stop. And you remember those teachings from Sharon Salzberg, where she asked her teacher, what do I do when I can't take it anymore?
Yeah.
And she thought he was going to say, oh, tough it out, no pain, no gain. Let's get in there and kick ass. We're not going to let this thing rule you. And he said, no, take it as long as you can and then stop. Get away from it. Go do something else. So, yes, meditation can help you calm down, and you can't meditate when you're hyper aroused. And now today, we're going to look at some things that you can do to regulate your system so you can meditate. If you're trying to meditate and you find that you can't, here are some things that are proven by neuroscience to help bring you into regulation. So let's go to this chart. Ways to
see that
strengthen
better?
your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, number one, spend time in nature. When I was a kid,
Number one.
I found God in nature. I lived in a very abusive, chaotic, emotionally intense home, and I would get beat for leaving the house. We weren't allowed to leave till the chores were done. The chores weren't ever done, so I'd just leave knowing I was going to get a beating. But as soon as I got out in nature, I would calm down. I would regulate. I would feel a part of everything. I would feel like I belonged. I felt wholesome. So nature, we are meant to be in nature. We are nature. Nature regulates us in a way that nothing else can, okay? Diaphragmatic breathing. You can always do your breath exercises, slowing the exhale to begin to regulate your system, all right? Singing, gargling, anything that stimulates the throat. That's the closest that the vagus nerve is in
I
your
start
body.
my day with gargling
Right,
every
she
day.
does. Okay. Now, weighted blankets, and I just found out there's a posture that you do where you half frog, where you lay on your stomach with one arm out. You can't see me like this, and your leg bent. Pressure on the stomach by laying face down regulates your nervous system. And it's even better than doing a weighted blanket. So if you're very anxious, just lay face down on the bed.
I also just got some sandbags
Yes.
for the yoga room, 10-pound sandbag. If you're on your back and put that on your belly, is it like a weighted blanket?
Okay. Exercise, running. I love Tai Chi, and I love Tai Chi because it really activates your nervous system in a very positive kind of way through that movement.
You're skipping a lot of good ones.
I know, I can't get to everything. A hot bath, ice water on your face, soaking your hands in ice water, music, gratitude, doing a gratitude list, okay? But let's talk about what you're doing right now. This is what we call co-regulating. And it's the reason we have sanghas, is that our nervous system have what's called limbic resonance. Limbic resonance means that when you're in the presence of a calm person, you begin to calm down. When you're in the presence of an anxious person, you become more anxious. A sangha and an ashram is a place where you go to find safety, to help your external group to help regulate your nervous system. By being a totally isolated seeker, we don't avail ourselves of co-regulating with others.
We disconnect
We've
from
disconnected.
the outside
Right.
world.
And so sometimes, and I do this with myself, I don't feel like going to AA meeting, or I don't feel like coming to a group like this, and I push myself because I always leave regulated. And I know that, and I used to say in my lectures, I don't know how that works. Now I know how it works, okay? It does work, and it's very powerful.
Well, and science now, it's great in this day and age that we live in a time when science is proving
these things.
be true.
So as we go through this, if you're feeling like you're not particularly regulated and you need to get up and you need to move around, you need to have your dog, pet your dog, go ahead and do that. Just turn your screen off. And when you feel able to, come on back and join us. So we'll answer any questions about this later.
Enough
No.
on the chart? Done?
Done.
Okay.
So one thing also, and I say these things so we'll be more compassionate with ourselves. We're so judgmental, so critical. And we think because we hear these things and we can't do them, that there's something wrong with us. No, there's not something wrong with us. There's something wrong with our entire culture. My teacher came from India, where he was a Jungian analyst. And he said, you all in the West have such thick egos. He says, your defenses are so rigid and so omnipresent. He said in India, people have so little control over their lives that they have very thin egos. And so you just tap it a little bit and they go, oh yeah, I'm God, I remember now. Whereas here, he says, I've got to use a jackhammer to even begin to break through the defenses. So another thing that he says is that we all have been so enamored of talk therapy. And talk therapy is only going to get you so far, and then it becomes repeating those patterns and keeping the abuse alive. So if you felt like therapy didn't work, you're right, it doesn't. It works to a point, but then all of the abuse is embedded in your tissues, and that's why it keeps coming up. Then we turn to spirituality. It says you should be able to just sit there and be happy. Well, no, you can't. Again, you have to find a way of dealing with the trauma that's inside your body. So if you've never tried somatic-based therapies and people who are actually doing trauma release in the fascia, is there anybody who's tried this and can speak to this on the screen? Oh, there's a hand, Cherry. Cherry and I go to the same person for fascia release. It's a miracle to finally be released from the armoring of your body and be out of your shell and begin to breathe deeply to feel that veil lift. So you can do what I did, which is raw dog it with no drugs and with talk therapy back in the 60s. Or you can take advantage of these new therapies that are emerging that systematically help to dismantle that body armoring that Theodore Reich used to talk about. So we're going to play a little bit today. Again, remember, playing is essential. Playing, the minute you start to play, you immediately go ventral. It takes 400 repetitions to learn something if you're in fight or flight. It takes 30 or 40 if you're playing. So the word for what we do in Tai Chi is we play Tai Chi. We don't work at Tai Chi. So let's play meditation, okay? Monk?
20 minutes?
Let's do 20.
Approximately.
Or as Ernie Banks used to say, the first baseman for the Cubs, let's play 2. Let the bell invite you into the silence and the spaciousness. Notice how your mind and body will begin to resist this. Try to restore you to what it knows as safety by thinking, by wanting to do something, by wanting to understand. Feel any restlessness. Watch the tendency to judge what's happening. And as much as possible, let go of judgment. Taking a step back, and knowing that you're already meditating if you can watch this happen. Notice the way tension reestablishes itself in the body, and your posture may shift. It may be the first time you've ever noticed that, but without judgment, just align yourself in a way that feels delicious. And as much as possible, create for yourself an atmosphere of allowing, of non-judgment, which is the atmosphere you want to create externally, isn't it? Don't you want other people to relate to you without judgment? To be present? To allow you to unfold without criticism or rejection? And feel yourself breathing into that space. Allowing the body to soften, to accommodate the breath. The belly to soften. Feeling the breath as a gentle massage from the inside. With the exhale, feel yourself sinking into the support of the earth. The earth rising up through the sits bones and the spine, keeping you erect, and allowing everything else to simply hang gracefully. As we talked about last week, notice if you start feeling too good and begin to shut it off. For many of us, quiet, relaxed is unsafe. Just note without criticism. Notice as you calm down and are more present in the moment and more attuned to your body, the more you feel sensations emerging. Energy moving and hitting receptors, creating what we call emotion, feelings. Without labeling as much as you can, without resistance or clinging, simply give them space to leave, just energy that's trapped. Inhaling prana, that cleansing, vitalizing energy, feeling it moving through subtle energy channels in your body, clearing out any energy that needs to release. And again, that may feel weird, your brain may push back, and that's normal. As much as you can, come back to the breath, back to softening. Know that this is what you came for. This is what healing feels like. As an emergent sense of danger and then restoring yourself to peace and balance. The mind spacious, open, resisting nothing, clinging to nothing as much as possible. If you find that you are, just let go. And remember, the more often that happens, the more practice you're getting at letting go. That's what we came here for. Body softening, becoming more receptive, the mind open and spacious. The heart relaxing into its natural state of compassion, presence. Opening your heart to yourself, the world, knowing this isn't just your healing, it's the world healing through you. The Sacred Heart transforming crown of thorns into the light of enlightenment. Presence rooted in the whole that can't be moved by pain, by distraction, by greed and hunger. Notice how when tension reestablishes itself, it's hard to catch that subtle transition. But as soon as you're aware, let go of any tensions in the body, in the mind, in the heart, and soften. Hello, Miss Bentley. How's,
Hello.
how's Greece? How's Spain today?
A lot of rain, but it's great.
Super. Glad you made it. So, questions, comments? Your turn.
I've noticed how maybe starting
Hi,
um,
hi,
Uh,
everyone.
Hang,
Uh,
whoa, whoa, whoa. Someone's talking. Can't hear you.
Go ahead.
hey,
Come on up and sit
I've
with us.
noticed that a few minutes into it, my mouth was like I was salivating, and I've heard somewhere, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it means you are shifting
Yes,
into the
definitely does.
parasympathetic system.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was like even physically,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
some physical symptoms. So
And that,
Yes.
when we're sitting in the Zendo, it always makes me nervous because I start swallowing a lot. I wonder if I'm disturbing the people around me. You know, but yes, salivating is something that's a sign you're shifting.
Yes, it
Can
is
you
a physical
her-
sign.
Can you repeat her comment, please?
She was saying that she noticed that she salivates and she had heard that that was a sign that she was moving ventral, and it is.
It's a signal that you're going parasympathetic. Yeah,
Well, ventral because dorsal and ventral are both
so, yeah,
parasympathetic.
great awareness.
Okay, those are the kind of questions that I wonder the same thing, so it's interesting. Yeah, the same question. Anybody else? We're still working on how to do this hybrid class so that you can hear. We may have to get a microphone that
I know, come on
will
over here.
pick people
Bring
up.
your cushion. Yeah, so you can see.
hi.
Go
I
ahead.
thought I'd go ahead and speak to this. I'm curious. There's a lot of language about the heart, and there are a lot of expressions about just these phrases that include the word your heart. And
Right.
my brother had open heart surgery, and he had found out he had a birth defect, and then that caused an aneurysm, and so they cracked his chest and did all this repair. And he made the comment how overwhelmed he is feeling his heart work really for the first time in his life. He said he's had a broken heart his whole life, and he's like so overwhelmed in this sensation of the heart working well. And so I've been really trying to in my meditation notice, what does my heart feel like? Or if I'm having feelings, I really take my concentration actually into my heart area. And it's really quite fascinating.
Right.
And the only other time I've ever heard anything about the heart was in a yoga class. The young man, this was in Lafayette, had suggested the whole class lead from your heart. No matter what you're doing, what pose, and how you're transitioning from pose to pose, you're moving from the heart. And I went into this meditation, this yoga, but moving from my heart. And I had like a spiritual awakening. And at the end of the class, the teacher came up to me and asked me if I was okay. So I don't know what he was sensing of me, but it was this total concentration on my heart. And I just wanted to say those things. I'm still processing all of it for myself, but in my meditation, if I kind of go off in my mind, I can kind of go into my heart. And it's just been an incredible process. And I just was wondering, because of all of the metaphors about the heart, Bart, what do you think about all that?
Well, you got apples and oranges there. So the first is the interoception and the proprioception of the physical movements of the heart. And again, those are the kind of things that can startle us, as we've been talking, that in the West, we have totally ignored what's happening inside our bodies. We've cultivated the external senses, but we haven't cultivated the internal senses and the capacity to experience what's actually going on in our body. So that can be sudden and startling. You go, oh my God, I can hear my heartbeat. And people with mitral valve prolapse, for example, when they begin to feel their heartbeat changing with the prolapse, will go into a panic attack spontaneously because the body recognizes that irregularity as a potential life threat. So he's being kind of startled by the awareness of his heart working. Now, when we say heart in yoga and in meditation, we do not mean the physical heart. Okay? What we're talking about is an energy center, an energy nexus. So,
Heart chakra.
which is the heart chakra. So the heart chakra, again, I maintain that we have misunderstood for so long because we associate it with love, and it's really not about love, it's about presence. And notice that when you feel threatened, your heart shuts. Rumi said this in the analogy of a window. He said there's a window that opens from heart to heart, and there are ways of closing it, not a needle's eye of access. And sometimes both ways are appropriate. Maybe I ought to do next week on when it's okay to close your heart. So he says when houses live side by side with windows open, that's the embrace we want. We don't want to collapse into codependency. We don't want to merge into an undifferentiated ego mass. There's you, there's me, and there's the connection, the window from heart to heart. Now what happens is that when I get hurt, that window closes a little bit. And we even know now neurologically, when you live with someone for 13 years, you've had so many inadvertent dings on each other that you've got these unconscious walls against staying open because you're bracing against the possibility of being hurt again. Your brain has so many signals associated with this person and their patterns that have hurt you in the past that there's a natural state of being closed. So when I work with couples, I really work with lay in bed, look into each other's eyes, and breathe until you feel your heart open, okay? You will feel the rigidity in your body just doing this, okay? So that heart is about presence, about staying open. That space I was saying, when you relate to your that's the first time I've ever done that meditation. I really liked it, the insight into I'm creating towards myself the environment I'm trying to bully you all into giving me. I want you to just listen. I want you to hear me. I want you to feel my pain. I don't want you to judge me. I want you to create a safe place for me. Once I do that for me, I'm not going to need her to do that. Does that make sense? So what you're really hungry for when you feel that longing, that nostalgia for a different time, was for a time when I was a child. Then that's how I related to myself. We have this thing of a little girl who's covered with lipstick, and her dad walks in and says, what are you doing? I'm putting on my yipik. Did you ask anybody if you could put on your yipik? And she goes, I asked myself. And she goes, where did you get your yipik? Home Depot. And that's the way we were, who are you to question me, my choices, my decisions, how I choose to live my life.
Good.
Create that environment for yourself. Quit going through other people. That's where we got off track as kids. We had to go through our parents to get permission. You're an adult now. No, you don't.
Yay.
There is
Okay.
one more thing that I've noticed during the meditation, now that we're talking about the heart, that when you said open your heart for yourself, and I was like, okay, and then for the world, and I was like, ooh. So yeah, that's something, note to self, work on the trust to the world, and I do have trust issues, so that was like, little cringe in the
Okay.
body.
Yeah,
Did you
a
see
little
what she just did?
resistance.
A resistance.
And physically,
Yep,
she
physically.
just went, oh, and that's what it feels like, that little closing, that, you know, protecting sort of thing.
See, but without that awareness that you're doing it, you can't undo it, Yamuna. You know, so it's feel myself do it. Now I'm aware, just like I was watching you shift your posture too. You know, that,
Open.
and
So
then,
when
oh,
you
I'm closing. And that's why we
physically
meditate.
open.
We meditate so we can go out into the world, feel ourselves closed. And next week we'll evaluate, remind me that I'm going to do that on whether I need to close or not. Is it an automatic closing? And can I take control of that mechanism and go from, oh, I'm safe, you know, and nothing better than when you're sitting in meditation and feeling panicking. Okay, she said something that was interesting, as if this, she needed to say this. Is there anybody on the screen who has trust issues? The rest of you, anybody who has trouble with honesty? That's what we all have in common. That's not what makes us different. That's what makes us all the same. Hell no, I don't trust. Only an idiot would trust this world. Anybody else? Yeah, Pam.
I had an interesting experience when we were meditating. As you saw, my dog was sitting right next to me, and I looked down and she was just looking up at me, looking up at me, looking up at me. And then about 3 minutes in, I could feel her relax. And she put her head on my leg. And then it was like, oh, now I can go there too. Because I
Yeah.
didn't have to worry about her. It was funny.
Okay, again, neuroscience. Your dog is looking in your eyes, and for that sustained gaze, it releases anandamide.
Right.
Okay, anandamide is the bliss hormone, and it doesn't matter whether you're co-regulating with a pet or co-regulating, they have the same brain.
Mhm.
So they're saying, okay, you're safe. And as soon as the two of you feel safe, you both relax.
They
So-
get limbic resonance too.
Yes, because they have a limbic system.
Yeah.
Which answers the age-old question, do animals have emotions? Absolutely. Absolutely.
When you bring up the issue of trust, I have read that in our society, and I would say Western, American, European, we have gradually grown to a place where when we meet someone, whether it's conscious or not, for me, it's actually conscious. The thought is, can I trust this person?
Absolutely.
And that trust is a broad, wide variety of things. Can I trust this person to be honest with me? Can I trust this person not to injure me in, whatever way? Can I trust this person to honor what I tell them and know what can be repeated and what cannot? It's kind of a judgment call. But I have found that over the last maybe 20 years, I have become not so much less trustful, but much more conscious of how I evaluate that, much more than I used to. And I've had some negative experiences where I placed my trust too quickly and found that it was not a good judgment.
Yep. Okay, now I'm going to totally turn that on here for you. We're always trying to decide who's trustworthy and who's not trustworthy. And I can answer that for you. Nobody's trustworthy. Okay? And it's a false question. It's a question that our brain raises to try and keep us safe. It's part of our defense mechanism. Okay? Now,
I can see that.
We all know we're broken. I know I'm not trustworthy. If I'm gut level honest with myself, I'm not trustworthy. I don't know anybody who is trustworthy, all right? So my expectation, my searching for that, you're going to find what you look for. If you're looking for people who aren't trustworthy, that's what you're going to find. Now, to me, and what I work with my clients is, the question is, can I handle whatever I'm investing in this person if I lose it? So that as we develop our capacity to open again, we don't have to ask that question, because I know I can come back on my cushion, go back out in nature, go back with my safe people and regulate again. Does that make any sense? And realizing that, I've had places like the Creek where I felt safe, my therapist where I felt safe. Now I'm starting to feel safe everywhere because I know I can get back here. So I don't have to be on guard out in the world. So it's carrying that sense of peace and safety in yourself, regardless of what the world does.
And I feel that peace and safety lately in my own intuition. So when I'm facing someone, perhaps new, my intuition is already picking up signals that I trust. So I trust me, Chani. I trust myself to feel what I feel. And, whatever that is, I can deal with it. But yeah, and certainly there's the trust and the distrust and the energy and the vibe and the whole groove that person is emitting. Then I'm picking up on that, and I can deal with it, and I can continue the conversation, or I can turn around and discontinue the conversation.
So
I think we find that our intuition gets better if we're paying attention, if we're aware.
Yes.
And the awareness gets better as we meditate, because that's what we do when we meditate, is we pay attention. But to what Bart was saying, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Bart, but I think what you're saying has to do with, shit happens in the world. That's a given. Shit is going to happen. We're going to get sick. Our friends are going to die. All these things are going to happen. It's really a matter of how we respond to it, how we deal with it. We can't prevent shit from happening, but we can learn how to respond in a not harmful way to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Skillful.
Not a skillful way. That's why I like
Skillful means,
the phrase, because sometimes it's skillful to lie. If you come to me and I'm harboring a fugitive and you say, are they in your home? I'm going to lie to you. All right. So the thing that we take as ethical absolutes are not ethical absolutes. There's no absolute right or wrong in the universe. Just as we said about the paradox, that sometimes it's wrong and sometimes it's right. The thing is to know when it's appropriate. Am I doing it to serve a larger good, or am I doing it to serve ego? So as we get the defenses disconnected, and one thing I want to point you at, your intuition is a function of a couple things. One is your gut. Okay, your gut. Most of us aren't in touch with our gut, and learning to come back into our bodies and soften and feel the belly and what my belly's telling me. Very important part of navigating the world. It's also part of your third eye. When this stuff is locked into your defense mechanism, it's not accurate. Let me say that again. It's distorted. So you're going to read signals that are simply saying this has not been trustworthy in the past, but it really tells you nothing about the present moment.
Gotcha.
Okay, so
So it's filtered.
it's being filtered.
All of the things in my past.
Yes, for all of us, okay. So that's why we have to introduce that step of soften, get to the point. Now, after the filters pass and the trance is gone, what do I see? And that takes a while, and that's a skill. So let's look at that. We're over, and I don't want to keep people. Bruce, did you have a comment? Nope, okay. If you were going to talk,
I did.
was going to give you the
Okay,
floor,
Bentley.
because that would be such a rarity. I would not let that go.
Go
Okay.
Bentley.
No, it's just confusing because in 12 step, particularly Al Anon, they have a saying that feelings are not facts.
That's right.
So when we're like talking about our intuition and I want to trust my feelings and I want to go off this energy, I have that too, but it can be so confusing because the emotional response to something does not equal the being of that something.
That's what I was saying, okay?
Yeah.
So, okay, when we're talking about energetic, we're not talking about feelings. Feelings are neurochemical responses in your body. We're talking about your energy body responding to an energy body without the filter of the conditioned brain, all right? So that's a totally different thing. So that's equivocation, same word, different meaning.
Hmm.
It's why it gets so confusing. It's why we need a Sangha and teacher is to help sort out these
Discern.
different systems and see how they relate to each other, because they seem to contradict, but there's a great deal of coherence. So when they say, don't trust your feelings, they mean don't trust your initial emotional response to a situation. I will tell you that. I just said that. Okay, now
Anger.
soften. Let go of all, in the Bible it says all this, all the loud clashing, the thunder and all that. Then the still small voice, listen to the still small voice. That's that subtle information that's through the energetic body. Trust that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go. Omi.
So we end with 3 rounds of Om and a wow. And you can unmute your devices if you like. Deep breath in. Wow.
Wow.
Oh, thank you, everybody. Yeah. Wow is for one of our Sangha members.
Thank you, Bentley, for feelings are not facts. I like that. Yes. Thank you for that reminder.
Not facts.
Ryan, Margaret, consider yourself initiated if you want to get the information and join us. More than welcome. This is a free and open platform until you become judgmental, and then we cut you off.
And then we charge you $50 a session.
Oh, then we don't, no negative energy in here. No.
You changed the password to get in.
I love you guys. Have a good
Love
weekend.
you all.
Love you too.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everyone. Have a good week.